Hello, my friends. Welcome. Anna, Alchemist of the Arts here. Okay, full disclosure time. This reading is to make up for a bit of a boo-boo I made yesterday. I say a bit of a boo-boo I made. Now, I don't think it certainly wasn't intentional. Let's just say that. But I'm using a new microphone and I think it cut out for the last 10 minutes of the reading. It's the only thing I can think because I've never lost all the audio on a reading before. Not for just a specific part anyway. So, with that being said, when these kinds of things happen, my immediate instinct was, okay, I can't recover that audio. I must need to read for that part again. So, I decided that I'm not going to do the same reading. I will draw some runes and I'm going to draw some tarot. But I got the sense that this would be a more in-depth collective reading for those who need to hear it. And, I'm very grateful for my dear follower and supporter that pointed it out for me, because, I obviously create these readings for you, so it's really annoying when things go wrong. But I do feel like there was more than a touch of a divinely guided hand that's led us here to film again. So let's go in depth. I've picked out the transformation card again, and there was so much symbology in this card. There was so much meaning that was coming through the antlers. And one of the things that I said was that a tree can only grow as tall as deep as its roots extend. And there was this sense of being deeply rooted into this physical experience, whilst also stretching forwards and connecting with our, God's guides, guardians, ancestors, the sense of all that is beyond us, if that makes sense to you. The sense of spirit, higher dimensional realms, whatever you want to call it, it's connecting with that. So let's get into it. I'm really guided as well, and I feel like I need to do them before, so I'm going to listen, which is interesting because I'm ready to do runes, and I normally do runes first, but let's check this out. I'm keeping an eye on the microphone as well, and if you can hear any banging, I apologize. I have the hamster in her ball roaming around. Okay. Okay. I mean, you guys saw that. If you've been here a while, you know the way that I read. Look what flipped out. Heaven and earth. Look at the symbology on this card. We have the tree roots, a very physical human merged with the green man. We have the spirit animals here and a whole load of other symbology. We have maths, we have sense of legality and finances. We have reference to all of the seasons and also celestial bodies here through different constellations. There is a lot going on here, and all of the chakras here with the colors. Now, you are very much being reminded that whilst you have to take care of things on earth, in your physical life, in your physical reality, as we all do, that's an essential part of our life here. There is definitely the sense of balance, of calling things into balance and reminding yourself as often as you need that you are also a spiritual being. Your personal beliefs around that are your own personal beliefs. And I'm not here to tell you what those are, but this is a reminder that you are far greater than anything you are experiencing right now. Greater in the sense that there is more to all of us than what is going on in our current 3D life. And the problem is, and I say the problem because it's also what makes life exquisite, is that we're emotional beings. And those feelings create physical sensations in the body. Those feelings create chemicals, hormones to literally be released in our body, stress hormones, or, you know, like hormones when you fall in love. And depending on those, it discerns our experience. And you're being reminded here that whilst there's a couple of different messages, that whilst you are a very spiritual being and a very human person, you might be dealing with a lot right now. And you're being really reminded to connect with your deepest spiritual sense of self as often as you can. And if this isn't something that you've done before, this might be the first time that you've encountered this idea or this subject, then most definitely start some higher self practices, whether that's in meditations. You can do forms of automatic writing through journaling, where you create a dialogue with, you know, your inner being, your subconscious mind, or your higher self. You can literally set the intention. You are being reminded to keep both aspects of your experience, of your reality, and of yourself within balance here. Not that you're imbalanced, perhaps, but sometimes, and I speak from experience, when our 3D world, our literal world as we are experiencing it around us, is so intense, it can be overwhelming, and we almost forget our spiritual nature. We almost forget our own power as conscious creators. And it's in those moments that if we can pull our attention, pull our focus back to the memory, to the reminder, to this self-reminder of exactly who we are and our own spiritual power, we can have breakthroughs and we can begin to move forward. We begin to find problems outside of the box because we're not looking at the box feeling like we're stuck within it. And it's that sense of zooming out. And for some of you, really connecting with the earth, with earth energy, with nature, could be really massively helpful for you right now. I'm still laughing at how that card came out when it literally echoed exactly what I was saying. I'm going to ask for one more. Destiny. I love this. I think we've got a couple of different messages coming through here. Excuse me. If you're in the middle of some really, I want to check the bottom of the deck. Oh, interesting. Yes, again, cycles, time, logic here with the Four of Air. I feel like you're at the precipice of some kind of breakthrough, especially with the transformation card coming through. The transformation wording on that isn't so much what I've connected to. It's where it's this reading is about where the source of this transformation is coming from, or what you can tune into, what you can feel into, what you can lean into, reach into, absorb, connect to, whatever words you want to use to describe it. You could be in a place right now where things feel quite difficult. And if you're dealing with a lot, we can feel like dreams are off, ever in the distance. They feel more unreachable, or we forget about them because all of our focus is pulled onto this specific problem, onto the thing that we're doing in that moment, or the thing that we're trying to work on, overcome, the challenge that has been presented to us. And this can go on for weeks, it can go on for months, and those months can suddenly become years, and are all the time our sense of purpose, our dream, a sense of destiny, we can feel disconnected from it. And then there is this underlying feeling that kind of creeps in every now and again, and very much the Nauthiz rune energy, it can feel frustrating. We can suddenly feel very lost, or as though something, like we failed at something. There was something more that we were made for, or that we could do, or we could achieve, and it's never going to happen now because of this thing. And all the time, the focus is coming back to this thing, this problem, this situation, this person, this relationship, this job, whatever it is. So there is a big message here. There is a transformation afoot or due. Something that you feel is ready. You're ready for this to change. And what we're looking at is the driving force that's leading to that transformation. Now, being the bottom of the deck energy, you could be looking only at the logic in this. Yeah, we've got emotion and intellect underneath, which is water energy. You could be looking only at logic, looking for only a logical way through this, trying to plan every single step, or telling yourself it's never going to happen, this is completely impossible, this is never going to work, it's over, it's done, I've got to forget about this. And we lose our faith. We lose that ability to believe that anything can change. We lose the belief that miracles can happen, or that our entire reality can shift, when really miracles happen every single day. The problem is the conscious, logical mind gets in the way, formed of all of our experiences and everything that we've ever witnessed. And it's hard to visualize or imagine you doing something that has never happened before, finding yourself in the perfect situation that has never happened before. And it's all the easier for us as humans to visualize or come to that place where we're imagining ourselves in a situation we really don't want, and all the things that can go wrong and all the problems and the challenges. We do that every day. You know, we're almost hardwired for that. And one of the major transformations here is to, once in a while, if you can, come away from just looking at a situation logically. Put it up to the gods, put it up to your guides, guardians, angels, ancestors, to your spiritual team. Ask them for a solution. And it's not beyond the realms of possibility. We have to believe that things will change in order for them to change. And the problem is so often that we only see the immediate situation where we are right now. And this is asking you, even if you can't see it right now, because I'm very conscious, this figure almost looks like he has his eyes closed. I believe the eyes are open. But on both of them, the eyes are shaded in such a way, with the third eye on this one activated. It's almost like you need to look beyond the present situation and tune into your intuition, but also look into your ideal future self. Really connect to what it is that you want to do, that you want to achieve, where you want to go, the life that you want to live. Be open to the possibility that things can change. Because whilst we're so focused on things as they are, telling ourselves that they're always going to be this way, we're never going to be able to sort this, fix this, whilst we're in that place, that is literally what we will create. So if you'd like to help yourself through this process, maybe expedite it, or find that higher guidance, that source, that battery source, that fuel supply that's going to help you through this transformation, it comes from tuning back into your higher sense of self, of cosmos, of all that is above. Not above as in, you know, stature wise, but beyond this current 3D physical reality that we're all experiencing right now. And tune into the possibilities that things can change in ways that could be even greater than we ever anticipated. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to do some runes for you. Now, these can be a little bit noisy if you're wearing headphones, or if you've got sensitive hearing, you might just want to turn the volume down just for a moment, but it only takes a second. she says. We have one flew off the table, which I am going to get because it did land upright. There we go. And you'll be glad it did. And I love the fact that it flew off the table, slightly out of sight, because it's the Gibu rune. And Gibu rune speaks of gifts, our blessings. It speaks of manifestation, the physical realization of something in the physical world or within our emotional experience. It's the having of something, the giving of something, an equal exchange of energy. And the fact that it flew off, I feel like there is going to be something that you receive that you just don't see yet. And this could well be an answer to a problem, a solution to an issue, wisdom, a realization, something powerful that's going to help you to change or help the situation to change. Okay, now I really don't like arranging the runes in a big long line when I don't have masses of space. And I don't think you're going to see them all. So I'm going to have to go all the way up. Apologies for covering the cards. I'll go slightly to the side. The very first rune here is Ingvaz. And this feels like the growth that you've been expecting, that you've been waiting for in its seed-like form. It is the genetic blueprint almost, the like the recipe, the code. Let's think of this. I'm hoping you can see all of these. Yes, I think so. Just. It's like something is encoded. Okay, we've got a Athala in the reverse, which is literally saying to me, you feel like it's something. It's this sense of destiny that is no longer going to come to be. But we have the end of a very challenging cycle here. A literal end. And, you know, with Alchemist being in the reverse, this speaks to me of, it can speak of death, but death in the sense of the death card, of transformation, of release and letting go of what it served its purpose and releasing that back to the earth. The Algis rune also relates to the elk, to antlers. And in the reverse, again, with this deer here, this stag, in fact, it might not be a stag because it's got dots on, and I'm not completely clued up on animals, but I get the sense it might be a doe. And for anyone that says that I don't, female deer do have antler as well, although they're never normally as big, so it could be a stag. However, I'm going in circles on a very moot point. This to me is again that mirror of tuning into the earth and having roots that extend so deeply into the earth that you remain grounded, that you can remain present, but you're so deeply connected to the source above, to your sense of higher self, to spirit, to your gods, guides, guardians, ancestors, that you remember that you were both in the same moment. This feels like you reaching your truest potential. This is beautiful masculine energy of creation. So this is action taking, this is doing, but also it speaks of that encoded energy, a wish, a dream, a seed that's been planted, something that has quite potentially never grown into anything to this point. And with Isa beneath it, this is the rune of things being frozen. Literally, it's Isa, ice. It can feel stuck. Things could feel constrained. Things could feel like they haven't moved or you haven't grown. Or there just hasn't been any change. And there could have been good reason for this. We have Hagalaz beneath. I feel like there are changes that haven't yet taken place. And there are many changes that have, but there might be something that hasn't gone full to the full sense of completion, there might be a decision you need to make, an action you need to take. It might not be you at all. It could be that at this point you have done what you can or need to do. And from this point moving forwards, there is something else or someone else that needs to change. So for some of you, most definitely, there could be a partnership or a relationship that has served its purpose. But for some reason, I actually get like that there is an energy here of things not having been given fairly. This might be your feeling. For some of you, you could feel like you haven't been dealt a fair hand. I don't think that's for everybody. But for some of you, you might feel like just things haven't gone the way you'd planned or anticipated. You could have had a plan and that plan didn't go to plan. And, you know, in entrepreneurial circles, they use the phrase pivot. When you're not standing still, you are moving, but there's no point expending masses of energy either doing things you've already done that don't work or moving in a direction that you don't want to move in. So if you've been through this period of stillness, it's been calling you to look at what it is that you want to change. We have Lagus here, so there is this sense, I think that for many of you, there is a large amount of healing that has taken place within this transformation. For some of you, I'm getting very strongly now, there is a rift with a father-like energy or on father's side of the family, and you could have been in silence for a very long time. Or the last 12 to 18 months. This could have weighed very heavily on you, and there is a sense of having not wanted to open up, to reconnect, to reopen that door. And you felt like that needed to be initiated by them. So you haven't been taking any action. But there's also this sense of sorrow. It just feels like something that's weighed against your heart, even though you know it was the right thing to do. And I don't think that you are regretful of this decision. It was the right thing to do, but it doesn't mean that it hasn't come without a sense of sorrow. And for others of you, this is the feeling of perhaps there is a decision you haven't quite made yet, because we've got Turisas in reverse. And with Turisas being in the reverse, this speaks to me of being in a slightly passive energy potentially, where maybe you haven't wanted to make a change. And for some of you, you haven't wanted to make a change because things felt comfortable. You were uncomfortable, but that discomfort was comfortable, and you were worried that things would be worse if you decided to make a different decision. Say this was a relationship, you might not be completely happy, but you might be worried that you weren't going to meet anyone else. Or if this is work or a business partnership, a job, same scenario, it isn't fully fulfilling to you, and you feel this sense of being destined for more, but for some reason you're not ready to let go yet. And what I actually see as part of this transformation is, for some of you, you could come into a sum of money. I don't necessarily feel this is an inheritance, but more something that is, it could have been something that was owed to you, but because it comes with when you're here, it can either be something that you've earned for yourself, but also this can be healing that leads to a sense of self-worth. And I think, as we were talking about what drives this transformation, if you haven't made some of these decisions yet, but you know this is a decision that you've been toying with, you will either reach the point where you feel confident enough to make the decision that you need to make, regardless of either way it is, But this also speaks to me of self-worth. And this is self-worth that we develop. You know, self-worth isn't something that is just gifted to you. It is a feedback loop. Self-confidence, self-worth, self-respect, self-love. They're all entangled within this feedback loop of the more we make actions that empower us, whether that's saying yes or whether that's saying no, to put it most simply, to particular people, places, things, situations. The more we make those decisions, the better feedback we get. The more we feel empowered, the more confident we feel. So there is very much this sense here of making some decisions. You might have already made them, and you're at the beginnings of this positive feedback loop. And this isn't a feedback loop that magically stops, because even if you choose a period of time away from somebody, because we have the presence of Lagus here, there is this energy of change, of flow. Lagus deeply connects to water. Water holds memory. It holds memory of the emotions that have run through it. It literally holds them in a crystalline form. And this has been scientifically tested, if you'd ever like to look into this, if that interests you. You, within yourself, will develop that feedback loop where you process your emotions. You develop this confidence. If you decide to open the door to, if this is, say, a relationship or a family member or family that is estranged, or you've got no contact with for a period of time, either by choice or for whatever reason, if you're doing the work on yourself to heal, to recognize and respect your own boundaries, your own needs and values, you are still developing that feedback system. And then when the door's open to this person, to this relationship, to this partnership, whatever it is, ever again, you approach it with that self-worth. And anything that makes you question it or sacrifice that is where we get red flags. And I think by the time we've made the decision to do that, we're into big red flag country. Not always, because sometimes, and I will say this as well, sometimes we go through these repeating cycles in order to reinforce the lesson. So there isn't any need to be down on yourself, be harsh on yourself. Sometimes we open the door, we test the water, we allow people back in. We repeat the same experiences, and then we go, eventually, we hit a point of awareness within ourselves and go, no more of this. I'm done with this. And then at that point, you put those boundaries into action rather than just recognizing your boundaries. Then you put them into action and you go, okay, no, I'm done now. I'm done now. I'm not doing this again. Because true change from another comes in changed behavior and not just words. So we come to the final runes here, and I'm sorry. That is said hamster wobbling the camera. I apologize, pile 3. I'm still calling you pile 3, even though this is a completely separate reading, but it's a more elaborate reading. There is a big change here, and it's the ending of a cycle, because we have Agyes in the reverse with daggers. And whatever it is bringing gifts, realizations, blessings, and reciprocating energy with Gibu. So if you have been, how can I best describe this? What is the best way to describe this energy that is coming through? You might have had really challenging experiences of one-sided energy in the past. You could have been a very giving person, somebody that gave a lot in relationships or in work or in partnerships. I feel like when you go through this process of transformation, and we've got big transformations here, we've got the changing and breaking of cycles, and these could be big family cycles as well. They don't just have to be your own personal cycles. There could have been generations of cycle breaking that you're doing at the moment. You will as you go through these processes, you heal, you transform, and then the universe responds in kind. I'm so sorry. I'm going to pause the video a second. I'm so sorry. Okay. The universe responds in kind. Okay. So you will suddenly find that as your values shift, as your self-confidence, your ideas of what you deserve and your boundaries, because that's all linked together, as those change, you will naturally attract to you a different experience, something that is more reciprocal or more mirrored to what it is that you have given to others in the past. So I'm getting here quite strongly that for some of you, you could suddenly meet a person. It doesn't have to be romantic, or it could definitely be professional, because this does feel like it's about work for some of you. The new thing that comes in post transformation, after these changes have taken place, and this won't be overnight for all of you, it could definitely be a process. What's coming in is so much better. And this is a reminder from the universe, from your gods, guides, guardians, angels, ancestors, to really tune in and connect to what it is that you want, to this sense of destiny. What were the dreams that you had when you were young? How can you create that inner dialogue with yourself? What's important to you? What do you want? What do you value? What could you not be without? What do you not want to be without? Because there is so much wisdom that is held within you. And when we're so fixated on the issue or the problem in the present moment, excuse me, we almost lose sight of what it is that we're here to do and what it is that we're actually doing, because everything else just seems to become all consuming. Okay, I'm going to get some oracle cards. Where am I being called? Art Through the Eyes of the Soul Oracle. Let's get a couple of these, or one of these, I think, actually. Just one, please, Spirit. If one is enough. Thank you. Keep the vigil, justice will triumph. Okay. So for some of you, yes, there was this sense of unfairness, the sense of things that hadn't come to be, perhaps. This means, I'm going to take in the context of this reading, if there is somebody that has wronged you in any kind of a way, you need to be in your truth. Be in your truth, in the deepest truth, knowing, if you're going out there and you're not doing harm to others, you're not wishing ill to others, and you're working on yourself, I'm a firm believer that the scales will always be balanced at some point. And I don't mean in a karma, like for like sort of a, well, they did this to me, so they're going to get it back kind of a way. I personally don't work that way. And I'd certainly never use my energy to treat somebody like that, energetically. This is about you holding on to that core sense of truth. And this feels like the truth of you, but also the truth of everything in existence. We have the grail above. And that is, again, it's like this encoded, it's like this. So for some of you, I'm just going to put this out there. Some of you might be thinking about having children or a family in the future. And you might be using this as your motivation to do some of this really deep work. And that might be one of your motivating factors for creating this change. Some of you might already have children, but this feels like a motivating factor for some of you. I just needed to say that. But this is about consistently returning to this point of truth, the point of truth within, tuning into your intuition and trusting it. No, there was a lot of beautiful male energy on this. I'm going to get a Gods and Titans card because there's some good shadowy energies here. So what do we need to see to work with? Hades' death. We'll get another one, please. It's interesting because Sat Chaos. Yeah, I was going to say, it feels like the fear of change that could be holding you back. What is on the other side of some of these big decisions? And the answer is, many of us will never know. If you don't make those decisions, you will never know. You will know what happens by your experience, by staying in that situation or not making that decision, because you've made a different one. But unless you make that decision, you won't know what's on the other side of it. And overcoming fear means sometimes we have to walk through uncertainty and doubts and sometimes the chaos of change, but it's never for no reason. And some of the most successful people, spiritually or professionally, will tell you that it's not that they reach a point where they don't have problems in their lives. They've just got better at dealing with them. And I think that's a pretty good way to look at things. Okay, I'm actually being called to take one of these first. Let's get a Moonology card for you. Wow, okay. Nothing is yet set in stone. Exactly. So for some of you, you know, all this fear about making decisions, maybe you've already made a decision that you now want to change and flip around. Again, won't be for everyone, but if you're feeling that way, nothing is yet set in stone, but also with this sense of destiny, the timeline of life that you are on right now is not set in stone. The course of events as they are is not completely set in stone. You have the possibility to create change within your own world, within your own life, within your own reality. But it begins with making a decision to make the changes that you want to make, that feel right. And sometimes those changes do lead us on trickier paths. But sometimes that's exactly the way we're supposed to go, because it teaches us what it is that we need. We develop the skill sets to get to where we want, to do the things that we want, but we couldn't have done it unless we'd taken that route, if that makes any sense. Adventure, innocence, play, and discovery. And my instinct was to place these over Hades and Set. Now, change can be fearful. I am a Sun, Moon, Taurus. And yes, change is something that isn't always the most appealing to me. Let's just put it that way. But when you can look at these changes as the potential for an adventure that you'd never have been able to have otherwise. Again, you're opening up doors. She's got the key here. She's got the key in her hand. There is a brand new adventure that awaits you. And just like we had that Ghibli rune fly off the table at the beginning of the reading, it's like you don't even see it yet, but it's there and it's coming and it's going to be magical. And it feels like you could be getting the things that you always wanted, but you just doubted it. You didn't know how it was going to come or how it was going to happen. And this is where that question of faith comes in. Getting out of the shadows of the completely logical mind. Not that it doesn't serve us, because it certainly does. It certainly has its uses. But sometimes we have to look beyond that and tune into that sense of, I keep saying it, all that is beyond this present moment and the stresses that it holds. Okay, I feel like I'm going to leave this here for you. And I'm so sorry. I can only apologize again that your reading cuts out. I hope this makes up for it, and I hope it actually reaches whoever needed to hear this today, because these things always happen for a reason. But if you enjoyed this, please feel free to like, share, subscribe. I would be so grateful if you send this to somebody that you love or you think would find value in it. All of my information is in the description box below, and I will see you again another time. Lots of love.